Hi, welcome back to the Dr. Akinde Breaks It Down video series. I know it's been a while since I posted any content, and I apologize for that. Thank you very much for your patience. So today's topic, first of all, before we start, please like, share, subscribe to make sure we can keep the channel going and getting more content, more information out there. This is an informational series, not necessarily medical advice. So I always ask that people make sure that if they want medical advice, they seek advice from their medical provider. However, it's important, of course, to help people to be able to make good decisions. And that's the goal of this space, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And as much as I try to correct it, it comes back at me harder and tougher. It's a lot to deal with. And I hope that just the fact that people can come by and take a look at the videos on their own time can help them to understand maybe something that they didn't get the first time or the second time or the third time, that it can finally kind of set in and the point gets across. So today's topic is the HPV vaccine. What? Yeah, the HPV vaccine. So the HPV vaccine, HPV stands for the human papillomavirus. This is a vaccine to protect against the diseases caused by the human papillomavirus. So what I generally try to do is to save the audience from the kind of technical medical stuff, but at the same time, try to get good information out to you so that you understand kind of, I think, what I find to be the most important parts of the information to use that you can use to make a good decision. So the HPV vaccine is a vaccine that protects against human papillomavirus, as I said, and diseases that can be associated with human papillomavirus, namely papillomas or warts. And it's not just warts that are genital warts, but warts of any place where people can generally engage in sexual contact. So the HPV vaccine protects against warts of the genitalia. It protects against warts of the head and neck. It protects against anorectal warts as well. So it's really important for people to understand that anywhere that the virus essentially can be deposited, warts can develop. And then over time, warts, the virus itself stays kind of latent in the body for a while, and eventually it can lead to cancer of the different areas of the body. So in women, it can cause vulvar cancer, and more commonly, it can cause cervical cancer. And cervical cancer screening is one of the important things that we look for, and is the reason why many pap smears are done. Let me make this very clear that the HPV vaccine is not a replacement for pap smears. There might be one day when no one gets cervical cancer anymore, which then makes cervical cancer screening obsolete. But now and today, and for the foreseeable future, the HPV vaccine is not a replacement for cervical cancer screening, namely pap smears. Other parts of the body where cancers can develop are head and neck cancers, oral cancers, anal cancers as well, because again, these viruses get deposited into these areas. And later, maybe a decade or two or more later, they can develop into cancers. So what we found is that the vaccines themselves have been found to be ridiculously safe and ridiculously effective. This is somehow a source of confusion or cognitive dissonance for a lot of people. they so want to believe that the vaccine is evil, part of some conspiracy. And while I can't tell people, all the things that they should believe, I don't engage in magical thinking and all the rest of that. I can try to provide factual information. And that is this. The HPV vaccine has led already to reductions in the amounts of cancers that we're seeing as a result of HPV. Not only is it reducing the incidence of genital warts, but also of cancers resulting from warts. That is amazing. This is the second anti-cancer vaccine that's available for human use. The first one is the hepatitis B vaccine. That's right, the hepatitis B vaccine. By reducing the incidence of hepatitis B, reduces the incidence of inflammation, cirrhosis, liver cancer, and death. Therefore, it's an anti-cancer vaccine. Again, that's a little difficult for people to understand, but that's truth. That's science. Going back to HPV, the HPV vaccine is a second anti-cancer vaccine. I find that to be absolutely an amazing discovery. And here's more information about the HPV vaccine. So it was licensed for use in 2006. First, they started off with girls ages 9 to 26, and they added boys to the list because, right, where does one get it from? So what that did was that reduced the incidence of the warts, the papillomas that these people of these age ranges were getting. Or clearly not too many 9-year-olds are having sexual intercourse or engaging in any such activity. But what we intend to do with the HPV vaccine and everything else is to make sure that we protect people well before they engage in activities that can be dangerous. Take the seatbelt analogy. When you get into the car, the first thing you do is you click your seatbelt. It's not because, well, I don't know what your reasons are, but I'm just going to say it is because you want to protect yourself before you are exposed to any dangers that can be harmful to you. You don't say, hey, I'm going to hold off on clicking my seatbelt, but look, there's a car coming to T-bone me at the intersection right there. Yeah, I guess now is a good time to click my seatbelt. So I'm going to look for it and try to find it. And then it's too late, right? So the point of vaccination in general, especially with HPV and hepatitis B, as I said, is to protect you well before you're exposed to the dangers of these particular diseases. So it's safe and effective and should be given generally according to the US schedule between ages 11 and 26. But more information exists about this, which I think is a lot of fun. One, the vaccines, as I said, have been around since 2006. So as of date of production of this video in 2019, the vaccines have been around for 13 years, maybe 13 and a half years, depending on when it was actually released. So that's one, 13 years. So the people who say, oh, it hasn't been around long enough for me, I'm still waiting for more information. How much longer are you going to wait, right? The longer we wait without vaccinating people when we can, the longer we expose them to the risk of diseases that they could have otherwise avoided, which is the problem with delaying and spacing out vaccines. Is people have this idea in their mind that, oh, I'm afraid, so if I just wait and don't do anything, then I'm doing something beneficial. Lack of action itself is a choice and an action, which then can lead to possible consequences, excuse me. So the vaccine's been around since 2016. And all vaccines are still studied after they've been out on the market. So what we found is that the HPV vaccine has been so good at generating a good immune response in younger people who are given the vaccine that they now need only 2 doses of the vaccine as opposed to the 3 that others need. And let me explain. So between ages 9 and 15, generally ages 11 and 15, if someone starts the HPV vaccine schedule before their 15th birthday, as in if tomorrow is your 15th birthday, but you start the series today, you only need 2 doses separated by a minimum 6 months. So get that again. If the vaccine series, the HPV vaccine series, is started before the 15th birthday, even by 1 day, then only 2 doses are needed, separated by 6 months. If the vaccine series is started on or after the 15th birthday, then 3 doses are needed. The first dose is generally regarded to be given on day 0, no matter what the date is. The second dose should be given 1 to 2 months after the first dose is given. And the third dose should be given about 6 months, minimum 6 months after the first dose, not the second dose, the first dose was given. So day 0, 1 to 2 months later, and the third dose, 6 months minimum after the first dose. Just in case I didn't say that right, double check. Day 0, 1 to 2 months later, and then the third dose should be given 6 months after the first dose at a minimum. Could be 7 months, could be 9 months, but at least 6 months have to pass for the vaccine to count, because the interval for generating immune response should be met. All right. And then another fun thing that's been found about the HPV vaccine is that it's actually now recommended up to age 45. Wow. Wait. Can I do the graphic thing? So now, so many people are suddenly eligible for the HPV vaccine. The fun thing is most of my friends are no longer eligible. We just got old. But there are still so many other people. There are millions of people now who are eligible for the HPV vaccine. The vaccine itself contains 4 strains, if you want to call it that, of the 4 serotypes of the HPV vaccine out of many more. I can't remember exactly how many right now. But these 4 cause the vast majority of HPV transmission and disease. So it's not like a 1-to-1 thing where you say, oh, only 4 out of 10, therefore you only protect against 40%. You might be protecting against 90%. So it's not that just 4 strains contribute to a proportionate amount of disease. These strains contribute to a disproportionate amount of disease. I made a mistake there. There are 9 strains in the HPV vaccine now. Excuse me. Originally, there were 4 strains in the HPV vaccine. They've since increased the number of strains. I don't know where I got the brain cramp from there. So that HPV vaccine is now available for people from ages 9 to 45. 9 strains, please forgive me, as I said before. So now it's a game changer. It's a life-saving vaccine. It's an anti-cancer vaccine. And the people who should get it are those who are 9 to 45 years of age, except if they're allergic. So all the people who say that it makes you grow horns or it makes you walk backwards or it gave them wings, it doesn't matter. It doesn't do any of those things. What it does is protect people, namely young people, from catching human papillomavirus, which can go on to cause cancers of different areas of the body. Why would you not? So there we have it. A vaccine that prevents warts, a vaccine that prevents cancer, a vaccine that's wildly safe and effective. It's important. It's important for all of us. What I'm looking forward to is seeing the age ranges of this vaccine recommendation continue to go up. So maybe someday they'll raise it to 55 and 65 and up. And if you shudder at the thought of people in their 60s engaging in sexual activity, please know that I join you in that shudder. Thank you. Take care. I didn't sign off, excuse me. So, in typical fashion, keep yourself well. And of course, please like, share, subscribe. Tell everybody about the channel. Really, I mean, there's just more topics coming. Did I show the shirt? THC, the higher consciousness. This is something that I got at a concert when Seun Kuti, or some people call him Sean Kuti, came by. This is one of Fela Anikulapo Kuti's son, one of the great musicians of the world, but also of the African continent. Another great export from the great continent of Africa. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks. Bye.